Good afternoon. Welcome to the January 14th, 2025 Suffolk Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. Ms. Kyle, will you please call roll?
Shantae Hall. Richard Eslick.
Here.
Corey Carnegie.
Present.
Melissa Venable.
Present.
Fred Walker.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Terrific. Are there any corrections to the previous BZA minutes? I think they were from November of 2024. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Mr. Carnegie and...
Approved.
Perfect.
Yes.
I guess just by a yay, do we all approve the minutes?
Yay.
Yay.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, we have two items this afternoon on the agenda. Sorry about that. The first item is a continuation of the last meeting. We had BZA 29-2024-207 Pitch Kettle Road, Patrick Olds from Outstanding Homes. Ms. Cobb, will you please read the caption?
Before the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 29-2024. The applicant, Patrick Olds of Outstanding Homes Incorporated, is requesting a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8 feet and the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 5 feet on the north side and 10 feet to 4.7 feet on the south side. The property is identified as tax map 34G 16 parentheses A parentheses star 6 located at 207 Pitch Kettle Road. Zoning classification residential medium density. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a request to reduce the required side yard setback from 25 feet to 5, to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8 feet and the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 5 feet and 10 feet to 4.7 feet on the south side. The property is identified as tax map 34G 16 star A. Should the board, sorry, I apologize, I messed up on my typing. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We'll now have staff analysis and recommendation by William Mellon, zoning administrator.
Good afternoon, board members. The applicant, Patrick Olds of Outstanding Homes Incorporated, is requesting a variance from the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Section 31-407C, Table 407-1, Dimensional Standards J and L, to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8 feet and the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 5 feet on the north side and 4.5 feet on the south side. The property is identified as tax map and parcel 34G 16A star 6 located at 207 Pitch Kettle Road, Suffolk, Virginia. Suffolk Voting Bureau, zoning classification RM, residential medium. Here we have the general location map in our central growth area. Then we have the land use map showing the identified land use categories around it. Here we have the proper posting of the sign for this meeting. And here's our site plan. And our elevations, here's our front and side, and our rear on the other side. Go back to the site plan. The variance request was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. The public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. Based on input from the board and interested parties at the last meeting, November 12th, 2024, BZA meeting, the applicant has increased the distance of the proposed dwelling from both side yard property lines, and no longer requires any increase in impervious surface ratio. The revised proposed impervious surface coverage is 38.57 under the maximum of the 40% coverage limit. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 to 19.8, the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 5 feet on the north side and 4.7 on the south side. The front yard setback reduction request could be addressed by an administrative zoning variance as per section 31407E 2B of the Unified Development Ordinance, which permits the administrator to authorize modifications up to 30% to the setbacks, is included here for clarity for the whole project. The parcel to the north side of 207 Pitch Kettle, identified as Lot 5 on the applicant's site plan, did receive an administrative variance from 2021 that reduces their side yard setback from 10 feet to 7.2 for the construction of that single-family dwelling. This lot is unique to the RM zoning district due to the narrowness compared to the current requirements of the residential medium district. Current standards require a minimum of 60 feet street frontage and an 80-foot lot width at the setback line with 10,000 square foot in total land area. This lot is 2,446 square feet in size. With the property being deeded in 1883, the strict application of the current dimensional standards established for development in the RM district would render the parcel undevelopable and presents a hardship. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this request. That's-
William, I do have a question. On the directional arrow on the site there shows that the south side is the home you mentioned that had previously requested the variance. But you also noted that that was the side of our property that was requesting the 4.7 feet as opposed to the 5-foot side yard setback.
No, we were talking about the other lot, Lot 5.
Right, I understand. That's why it just seems,
So it's
the way
5 feet.
he
He increased
read
it.
it seemed incorrect. I just want, for clarity purposes, it's the south side of the lot or the southern boundary that's asking for the 5-yard setback, not less than 5 feet.
The north side, adjacent to Lot B, Lot 5, is requesting the 5-foot. It's the south side that's doing the 4.7.
So then it's not what we had requested, if that's the case.
Hmm?
Then it's not what we requested, if that's the case. The
Well, there
south
was-
side is adjacent to the house. That should be the side that we're asking for the 5-foot. That's how it's shown, but that's not what he's stating. Lot 5 is labeled. Adjacent to Lot 5 should be the 5-foot side yard setback.
And there is.
Okay, that's not what you had stated.
Okay. My mistake.
Okay, I
Thanks.
just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yes, that was the concern,
Right,
because we had interested parties.
Right.
And he made sure that it was at least
and
5
that's
feet
how
from there.
it's written in the documentation. I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other questions for William while he's at the podium? All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. We will now open the public hearing. Hearings are 30 minutes in length, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application?
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Patrick Olds from Outstanding Homes, and we tried our best to meet the requirements that you asked. And in the last meeting, I forgot to mention that there is also a firewall that's mandated by the city, and we've met that firewall standards as well. The south side.
Thank you
right,
very
thank you.
much. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anything you'd like to add, sir? Mr. Olds? That'll close the public hearing. I do want to state, I appreciate that you've reduced the impervious covered area as well to meet the standard, as opposed to asking for an exception, since drainage was one of the concerns that were voiced at the last meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or a motion?
Motion for approval.
Motion for approval, do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion for Mr. Carnegie and a second by Mr. Walker. Yeah, I will note that this lot just seems extremely small to me for building a home, frankly. But we will move forward with a vote. Ms. Cobb, will you please take the vote?
Shante Hall. Richard Eslick.
Yes.
Corey Carnegie.
Yes.
Melissa Venable.
No.
Fred Walker.
Yes.
The motion carries 3-1.
Congratulations, sir. Your application has been approved. We'll move on to BZA 30, 2024, 156 Tynes Street, Irving Henderson for George Sproul. Ms. Cobb, will you please read the caption?
For the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 30-2024. The applicant, Irving Henderson, on behalf of the owner, George Sproul, is requesting a variance to reduce the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet for the construction of an addition. The property is identified as tax map 34G25(A)(*55), located at 156 Tyne Street, zoning classification residential medium density. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a request to reduce the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet for the construction of an addition. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We'll now have the staff analysis and recommendation by Melvia Knight, Assistant Zoning Administrator.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members. My name is Melvia Knight, and I'll be presenting application BZA 30-2024 for 156 Tyne Street. The applicant, Irving Henderson, on behalf of George Sproul, is requesting a variance from the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, Article 4, Section 31-407, parentheses C, Table 407-1, parentheses L, dimensional standards to reduce the required side yard setback from 10 feet to 3.5 feet for the construction of a rear addition to replace a previous structure. The property is identified as tax map 34G25, parentheses A, asterisk 55, addressed as 156 Tyne Street, Suffolk, Virginia, Wellerville voting borough, zoning classification RM, residential medium density. This variance request was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. A public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. The property addressed as 156 Tyne Street was acquired by the property owner in good faith on March 21st, 2023. According to the exhibits, the property owner proposed to expand the living space of the existing 604 square foot single-family dwelling by an additional 411 square feet. The construction of the existing structure predates the current Unified Development Ordinance regulations. The rear addition of the dwelling must meet the regulations of the current standards of Table 407-1 dimensional standards. These requirements limit the potential development when compared to the RM district zoning standards in the side yards. The state building code requires all structures within 5 feet of the property line to be constructed with a 1-hour firewall material. So therefore, due to the inability to meet the required setbacks of the property and maintain compliance with the ordinance, staff recommends approval of this request. Before you is just an example. It should have been an example or exhibit inside of your packet showing the dimensions and current layout of the property with the addition shown in the rear. This is an exhibit for development showing current standards, current status, as well as the proposed addition in the rear with and without. And then this is a elevation model showing the exterior from the front and rear elevations of what will be proposed following the addition of the 411 square foot addition. And then lastly, I also included an exhibit showing the existing home in comparison to what the model will look like following the renovation to the exterior. This concludes staff's presentation for this application. I'm available for any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Questions? We will now open our public hearing. Hearings are 30 minutes left, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application?
Good afternoon. My name is Irving Henderson. I'm here representing Mr. Sproul. For this variance here, this request, we're requesting to put the addition back in the same footprint. The original addition that was there already was slightly wider. This new addition, we kind of narrowed it out to have it 3.5 on both sides. And both side walls would be 1 hour rated. We didn't take it any further in the length. The existing on the very far left is where it used to be, and we are putting it back the same length and making it, actually making it more narrow than what it used to be, with the even 3.5 on both sides. We made sure we kept any openings in those sidewalls at the 25% max for anything that's closer than 5 feet to the property line. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Mr. Irving, is there anything you'd like to add? Okay, that closes our public hearing. Questions, comments, motion? I just, out of curiosity, Mr. Irving, was there an incident that had done something
Well,
to
when
the
I first
addition, or you just started?
got to the project, it was already gone. So
Yeah.
I asked the owner why was it gone. He said it was pretty much falling down.
Yeah.
It had rodents and people was using it to do things inside of the place. So he didn't know that he needed to get a
through this
permit to take it down
process.
completely, but he did that without knowing. So he called
Sure.
me up and I took it over from there.
This looks like a great project. Thank you very much. I was just curious. Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion for approval. This, again, is another example of improving the neighborhood.
A second motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Eslick and a second from Mr. Carnegie. Any discussion of the motion? Please call for a vote.
Shantae Hall, Richard Eslick,
Yes.
Corey Carnegie,
Yes.
Melissa Venable,
Yes.
Fred Walker.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Congratulations, sir. We look forward to seeing the end result. I think that concludes our hearing for today. Is there anything additional? Do we have a meeting next month?
Yes.
Of course we do. That's great news. We are adjourned.